Hello everyone, and this is Transfusion. Enjoy watching. Ryan Logan is a skilled Australian marksman and an exceptional soldier, a member of an elite special forces unit. He often provided cover for his teammates during counter-terror missions, but one day, after a direct confrontation with the enemy, he is wounded, forcing him to make the difficult decision to end his military career. Now, he trains young fighters, passing on the knowledge and experience he gained in combat. His main and favorite student becomes his son, Billy. Ryan strives to teach his boy everything he knows and often takes him on hunting trips. However, Billy isn't particularly interested in hunting and prefers saving animals rather than shooting them. Still, he expresses to his father a strong desire to become as brave as him. When father and son return home from hunting, they are greeted by Ryan's wife, Justine. She is pregnant, so Ryan takes on extra household responsibilities and treats his beloved with utmost care, eagerly anticipating the birth of their child. Unfortunately, their happiness is shattered. One day, while Ryan was at work, Justine was driving Billy to school when their car was suddenly rammed at high speed by an SUV. As a result of the crash, both were critically injured and taken to intensive care. Ryan and his friend Johnny rushed to the hospital as soon as they heard, and Ryan faced an immediate, excruciating decision. Both his wife and son had lost a lot of blood and urgently needed a transfusion. It so happened that the hospital didn't have the compatible blood, and Ryan himself was a match for both. He now had to decide whom to save. The doctors also delivered tragic news. The unborn child could not be saved. Overwhelmed by grief, Ryan made a painful but necessary choice. He donated his blood to Billy and let Justine go. She would surely have approved of his decision. 8 years have passed since then, but Ryan is still haunted by the loss of his wife and child. He left the military and began working as a salesman. Due to hardships, he often had to move from place to place. Billy grew into a rebellious teenager, constantly getting into trouble. For the third time, he finds himself in a courtroom. Previously, he had been tried for theft and drug possession, and now for property damage. In all cases, the police caught him days after he ran away from his father's custody. The judge warned Ryan that if Billy appeared in court again, he would lose his parental rights. This added even more stress to Ryan's life, as he now had to figure out how to keep Billy from making further mistakes. The next day, he was called to the principal's office because of his son's repeated absences and unpaid semester fees. The principal gently suggested that no one would tolerate Billy's behavior, and perhaps he should consider a good public school, but Ryan assured him he would handle it and pay the debt. Later, Ryan unexpectedly receives a message from his old friend Johnny asking to meet up and heads to a pub. Many years had passed since they last saw each other, and Ryan was genuinely happy to reconnect. Johnny explained that he had left the service and was now alone. His wife had left him, and his daughters no longer spoke to him. After asking Ryan about his life, Johnny suddenly asks if he would help him pull off a small job for a decent reward. Ryan promises to think about it. The next day, Ryan goes to work. He needs to close a new deal with a client. He offers the client a selection of wines, but the shop owner behaves extremely disrespectfully, which angers Ryan and forces him to use his strength. Returning home, Ryan unexpectedly finds Johnny chatting amicably with his son, Billy. Concerned that his friend might have a bad influence on Billy, Ryan asks him to step out and wait at the pub. Johnny again reminds him of his request, but Ryan refuses. The old soldier then brings up what Ryan once did for him. Johnny had always treated Ryan like a brother, so when he witnessed Ryan's suffering on that terrible day, he was driven by revenge. He tracked down the person responsible for the accident at the same hospital, kidnapped him, and subjected him to severe punishment. Meanwhile, at school, Billy approaches a group of teenagers and tells them about his father, the Special Forces soldier, and his feats, hoping to earn their approval. Impressed, the kids invite him to join their group. That night, Ryan and Johnny conduct a raid on the apartment of 2 drug dealers. Threatening them with guns, they empty the safe. From an adjacent room, Johnny suddenly hears noises and discovers a young man who had already sent an SMS calling for help. The young man recognizes Johnny and begs for mercy, but the soldier kills him, after which the friends leave the apartment. After the mission, Ryan tells Johnny he heard gunfire in the room but doesn't want to know what happened. Johnny thanks him for the help and gives him a portion of the stolen money so he can pay for his son's schooling. The next morning, Ryan is reprimanded at work for threatening a client and is asked not to repeat it. But Ryan cannot promise this, as he refuses to tolerate disrespect. Although his apology to the shop owner helps to smooth things over, he is still fired. At school, Billy is already spending time with his new friends and, to impress them further, tells a boy named Brad about his courtroom adventures, after which he is invited to a party. Meanwhile, Ryan meets Johnny again and tells him about being fired. He cannot touch the money he had saved for Billy's education, so he asks his friend to take him along if another job comes up. Johnny asks Ryan to provide cover for him, as he doesn't trust the young man he is supposed to meet. In the evening, Ryan prepared for a new mission and took an old sniper rifle out of the closet. At that moment, Billy approached him and asked for permission to go to a party, promising that this time he wouldn't run off and would return home. His father let him go, and later Ryan drove to his position. His task was to provide cover for Johnny while he dealt with the drug dealers. Judging by everything, his friend had handled business with them before and knew the layout of the apartment. So one of the gang members started accusing Johnny of the recent robbery and the death of one of their own. But the veteran soldier remained calm and successfully deflected the suspicions of the gang leader. Meanwhile, Billy was having fun at the party and drinking alcohol. After a while, his new friend Brad led the group to a garage and, taking advantage of Billy's bravado, pressured him into sitting behind the wheel of his father's car. Unsurprisingly, the drunk teenagers soon crashed the car. Receiving the message, Ryan immediately drove to the accident scene to get his son. Fortunately, the area was deserted and no one had witnessed the crash. But the kids, one after another, started blaming Billy, claiming he was the one behind the wheel and therefore responsible. After returning home, Billy was overwhelmed by deep guilt and despair. He even locked himself in the bathroom and considered suicide. But his father broke down the door and warmly comforted him. The next day, Ryan went to Brad's house to talk to his father. He explained that the car had been set on fire and that he could now contact the insurance company. But the man turned out to be a leading attorney at a major firm and didn't want to risk his career. Moreover, he said he would press charges against Billy. According to Brad, he already had previous issues with the police, so the accident and arson wouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Ryan then promised to pay the attorney for the car. The man agreed but insisted on full compensation for the damage and also demanded that Billy be forbidden from seeing his son. Finding himself in an even tighter financial situation, Ryan had no choice but to turn to Johnny for help again. The sum was very large, several $100,000, and had to be acquired quickly. Because of this, Ryan had to abandon his earlier resolve never to kill again and agreed to Johnny's terms. On the day of the operation, Ryan arrived at the designated location several hours early to properly prepare. As darkness fell, the drug dealers arrived for the meeting that Johnny had set up, admitting that he had robbed their safe. The old soldier started mocking them, enraging the already furious dealers. At the critical moment, Ryan methodically took them out one by one with precise shots. However, the third gangster hid behind a car, and another man arrived to assist him. Ryan managed to shoot the driver, but the gangster who had been hiding got behind the wheel and tried to escape. The soldier ran, took a shortcut, and intercepted him. Once it was over, the friends buried the bodies, and Johnny, pleased with the success of the operation, praised Ryan for a job flawlessly done. The next day, Ryan hid in the attorney's car to give him the money for the car Billy had wrecked, after which he threatened him just in case the lawyer ever tried to blackmail his family. Meanwhile, Johnny decided to relax and celebrate the mission's success and his newfound freedom from the gang, when suddenly, an unknown man broke into his apartment. The intruder clearly intended to kill him, but Johnny neutralized him first. Feeling his life in danger once again, Johnny went to Ryan and begged him for help. Apparently, other gangs had learned about the safe robbery and were now looking for him, but Ryan no longer wanted to get involved in such affairs. Then Johnny shouted that Ryan owed him because he had needed the money and attacked him, intending to kill him and pin all the robberies and murders on him. During the fight, Johnny grabbed a gun, and just as he was about to shoot Ryan, Billy appeared with his father's rifle and blew Johnny's brains out. In the final scene, father and son are having lunch in the park. After years of misunderstandings and resentment, their relationship finally begins to mend. Following what happened with Johnny, they have to move to another city once again. But now they have hope of starting a new life filled with joy and mutual understanding. Here, even more stories await you. Subscribe things are exciting with us. See you soon.